Do not mind the lighting. I'm having some difficulties. Sorry. I am just sharing this right now. I know on the East Coast you guys are probably sleeping. It's 11:19. Okay. Is it too dark where you can't see me? I hope that's not the case. I just got off a long phone call. All right, guys, just sharing my my video to my business pages. One second. Hi, if you're coming on, say hi, where you're from. I'll introduce myself in a second. I'm just sharing to my business pages. Cool. Guys, the lighting is terrible in here. What happened was, so I'm in Cambodia and I plugged in, I went to go plug it into my nightlight and I blew a fuse. So I have to, after I leave the hotel, I have to give my key to, the guy that runs the place so he can fix the lighting. I didn't really do that much. I just plugged in the nightlight. Anyway. Oh God. I was just on an hour phone call. That's why I have no voice. But hi guys. Hello. My name is Justine Leslie. I'm an intuitive and spiritual coach. I help people achieve emotional freedom by using their intuition, spirituality, universal law, and also Eastern philosophy. That's right. And I also do a lot of empathic support. So if you're an empath, and actually this live is about empaths. So, and also I do Friend Your Live. Yes, I am. I'm in Cambodia. So, I'm wondering if I pull this, if the lighting would be better. I don't know, guys. I'm sorry about the lighting. It looks terrible. But the message is more important than the lighting, I think. So I'm just going to go forward. And I also, I didn't finish there. I also help people navigate their spiritual awakenings. So, hi, Brian. So I do that too. So, okay, let's get right into it. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to go over. And first, I know I've been talking about this word empath for a long time now because honestly, once I figured out I was very empathic, the clouds parted and it was oh my God, nothing is wrong with you. This is you. This is your emotional temperament. And it made so much sense, beyond making sense. And I just finally, for the first time, didn't feel so crazy. And I think that's a lot of people's stories is because a lot of people have been watching a couple of coaches and stuff like that. Hi, Justine, lots of love. Hi. Your hair is cray cray. I know, I can't straighten it. I can't do anything. It's right now it's 95. Anyway, so, what was I saying? Yeah, so, I've been seeing a couple videos and, there's a lot of negative stigmas around being empathic. And, I think it's important to really know yourself. I'm the type of person that loves labels. And I was just talking to somebody about this, I am straight up INFJ from Myers-Briggs. I'm an empath. I'm an intuitive. These things help me really focus on who I am as my higher self. And I think it's super, super important. So labeling yourself an empath is not a bad thing. It is a thing. That's the thing that we need to really realize. And it's just the fact that we absorb energy so deeply that it's how I like to say it is it's like a sponge. And I've been like this my whole life, wondering why I'm taking on other people's stuff all of the time. And obviously it's on a spectrum scale, right? But there are times when I'm extremely, extremely empathic, especially if I'm feeling most sensitive in my life. I could pretty much absorb everything that comes in my path. So it's really, really hard to sometimes live in this world. And I think people need to realize that that's a real struggle. There are some times where I don't leave my house. It's because the energy around me is just so much. And I lived in New York City, right? So like walking outside could just be like the most detrimental thing. I was not always conscious it was happening in the past. I was not always conscious it was happening in the past. What do you mean? Like figuring out you're an empath? Because I've been empathic my whole life. I just learned the word now, and I'm just actually now honoring who I am as an empath, because now I know what it is, and now I know how to shield myself, protect myself, put boundaries, right, guys? Boundaries is your best friend as an empath, and we need to understand that, and maybe I'll do a live about that too. Observing other people's energy. Yes, exactly. I have been intuitive my whole life, and I always thought the intuitive hits that were coming through to me were thoughts, right? And I think a lot of people that are super intuitive think that. They think, oh, this is just another thought, and oh, this is something that's happening, and I just can't explain why. No, it was direct intuitive hits coming from something bigger than ourselves, right? So anyway, yes, and that's why consciousness is a really great thing, right? Because then we can, and I would get into these awful moods, and I couldn't snap out of it, depression. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Same person, Frankie. When I was a teenager, I was so depressed for no reason. Like, I had a great life. Like, I can't even, like, explain it. And I remember just, like, telling my mom, being like, I just want to feel normal. I just want to feel normal. And I didn't know what I was talking about, but what I really was talking about is that I wanted to be free. I wanted to be emotionally free. And I couldn't explain it to anyone. I didn't even know what was happening in my body. But think about it. You're a teenager. Everybody on all of these hormones, like, you know, people that are depressed and suicidal, and, I was around them, and I was absorbing all of this stuff. And it was really, really hard as an empath. And, I expressed my emotions in other ways, in other negative ways, and then I just, put a cork on it and pretended that I didn't have any feelings for the next 10 years. So that's like my life story, which, by the way, I'll talk about another day. I don't want to take up any more time about this, but I think that happens with a lot of empaths. It's so true, Frankie. So, and that actually leads me into my first myth. So a lot of people are like, all right, well, am I empathic? You could be. Right? And like I said, it's on a scale, right? So it's a spectrum. So there's like super, super, super empathic. And then there's, guess what the opposite is, guys? Narcissistic, right? Because we have extreme feeling and they have hardly any feeling, right? And I hate to use the word empathy, because a lot of people, so that will get into number 3 about empathy. The word empath comes from the word empathy. But what it really means is that as an empath, you can feel other people's feelings, ones that are not your own, on top of the feelings that you already feel very deeply. So it's like a catastrophic event that's happening to you. And that's where they get the word, right? Because empathy is really being able to feel how the other person is feeling, be in their shoes type of deal. For example, I don't have anybody close to me who has died of gun violence, but I am strongly, strongly, strongly against no guns and all of that stuff, because I'm actually more of like a global empath. So when something globally happens, I could feel it with the global consciousness. I can't get out of bed for days, to be honest with you, sometimes. But I lost my train of thought there for a second. Because I'm really starting to think about it. But that's where they get the word empathy, right? Empaths. So hopefully that makes sense. So let me just dive into some of the myths was I kind of chopped on just now. But the first myth about being an empath is that we're all depressed, right? And let me give you an example. I know I just talked about depression, how I would take on other people's depression, but I wasn't actually really depressed, right? But there are times that I was. But let me tell you, there are times when, like I mentioned earlier, where I spend a lot of time alone, but I'm not depressed at all. Like, it's actually the opposite. Like, when I don't see people for a long time, it's not because I'm holed up in my apartment, feeling sorry for myself or whatever. I'm actually enjoying my company and making sure I'm taking care of myself on an energetic level. So I'm not depressed at all. And I'm sure that happens to a lot of people, that they're like, oh my God, they're spending so much time alone. People could actually say that about me now, going on my journey for 3 months alone, right? They're like, oh my God, what, is she like crazy or depressed? No, it's actually the exact opposite. I'm very happy about my journey. Do I need to probably be a little bit more social in the next 2 weeks? Probably. But other than that, I'm not any, don't have any feelings of depression or anything like that. And most empaths can spend a lot of time by themselves, and that's totally okay. We are such dreamers and such creative people. We can entertain ourselves to no end. And trust me, that is true. I feel like I can do that. Number 2 myth about empaths is that they're all introverts. Now, I didn't realize that you could be an extrovert and an empath until I met one. Oh my God, yes. Yes. I don't know. What are you, Frankie, what are you? Are you extroverted or introverted? I'm introverted, definitely, hands down. A lot of people don't think that I am, but I definitely am. It's very obvious to me. But there are people that are actually extroverted and they're empathic, which is crazy. And I do have moments of, being, feeling like I want to be a little bit more extroverted, more vocal, more around people. Intro. Okay, cool. But I met one. I run an empath meetup in the city, and that's the first time that I met someone. Her name is Diane, who ended up being a extroverted empath, which was very, very interesting. So that definitely caught me off guard. Dawn is an introvert. Yeah, I agree. Introverts are awesome. So anyway, like if I never went to a bar again, like I'd be like the happiest person. Anyway, so not all empaths are introverted. And the third thing is going back to that word empathy, right? Okay, so here's the myth. Empaths feel empathy all the time. Not true. Not true. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example with our president. I do not feel empathetic to his needs a lot of the times. And I actually have noticed, or you probably have noticed, I have an aversion to psychopaths, sociopaths, and people with narcissistic personality disorder. So I really have a hard time being empathetic with their points of view, because I know in my hearts of hearts that a lot of them are missing the empathy spot in their brain, which is unfortunate, but they will screw you over at any chance they get. They are very deceitful, liars, and this is not me passing judgment. This is what a psychopath is, right? I'm just defining a psychopath. But it is not easy for me to find empathy for those types. I think no, that's not true. It's actually not true. I'm sure people do, but it's very, very hard for me to get to that place. You want to look at another story of, somebody that shoots up a school. It just happened in Parkland, Florida. How do we have empathy for the person that killed all of those people? It is probably one of the hardest tasks that somebody will ever have to do. But if you're an empath, it doesn't make it easier. It's going to be hard. And I do notice that there's actually like a correlation between people that are empathic having a harder time forgiving or letting go, or just having a really, really hard time with difficult emotions, which, hello, me, my whole life, I haven't processed emotion until I was like 27. They have a hard time because we feel so deeply, like it hurts so freaking bad that we need to focus all of our energy and our attention on the healing part of things, the spiritual healing part of things, before we actually get to the now it's time to have empathy for the enemy, for the person that has wronged me. That comes later, right? So it could take years, and that's why I'm such a big advocate of, if it takes you a while to heal from something, that is okay. Nobody puts a timeline on your healing. Absolutely not. There's no reason for people to do that. You do not live in their world. You live in your world, and you get to take the time. And the difference between holding a grudge, and I've talked about this before, the difference between holding a grudge and getting to a place of wanting to forgive someone, is the difference is the intention behind it. So if it's taking you a really, really long time to heal somebody, don't listen to someone when they say you're holding a grudge. You're not holding a grudge. If your intention is to forgive, but you're not quite there, that is okay. That's how it's supposed to be. You heal on the time that you're supposed to heal. And I think that's really, really important for people to know, because I think people feel rushed. I think victims feel they're not heard. And that's really what the problem is that we're not having empathy, right, for people's healing space. Like, we are here to hold space for people. That's it. We're not telling them to get over it. We're not telling them to heal faster. And we're not telling them that they shouldn't be upset or angry, whatever the emotion is in the first place. We have no right to tell other people, right? Amen. We have no right. And that's really, really important. And I just had to get that out. So, yes. Okay, cool. I'm out of here. I'm going to go do some exploring. I'm going to go get some lunch. What time is it? 11:35. It's actually... it's 10:35. I'm still trying to get the time zones down. Okay, cool. So I'll be on tomorrow. Sorry I'm on so late. I was having an issue before, but I have to go get this light bulb changed. It's a little ridiculous. It's a little dark in here. All right, I got to go out in my 90-degree weather. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.